Hi guys, welcome to week 13, new grammar. I'm going to go over the math and all the subjects really, but for math we're doing liquid equivalents this week. And I'm going to bring in this model, it's called Gallon Man, and the center of him is like a gallon jug. And then his arms and legs are pints. And then his hands and feet are cups and his fingers are ounces. And so it's a visual representation of how so many ounces go into like 1 gallon. It shows you how many are in each, basically. It's just a visual representation. So we're gonna do that, but I also have a song and I'm gonna be pointing to the parts of his body as I sing this song. So the song goes, 8 fluid ounces equals 1 cup, 2 cups equals 1 pint, 2 pints equals 1 quart, and 4 quarts equals 1 gallon. All right, for Latin, it's the same as the first week. So we're going to say OST mustis unt, OST mustis unt, OST mustis unt, first conjugation, present tense. We're doing O because it starts with an O, right? That's how we start the song. But also it's the present tense, so we're giving an O, like a present. And you know, if you got a present, you might be like, oh, a present, okay? All right, what are some names of U.S. space missions? Okay, so for this one, the Mercury and the Gemini were orbital missions, meaning they were orbiting. I think they were orbiting the Earth, and maybe the Gemini did 1 orbital mission around the moon, I'm not sure. But the Mercury and Gemini were orbital missions. So we're gonna go like this. So we're gonna say Mercury, Gemini, and then the Apollo was orbital around the moon, and then also someone landed on the moon. I think it was the Apollo 12 that landed on the moon. So we're gonna say Mercury, Gemini, and then you're gonna do a circle for Apollo, but then you're gonna land like a little guy on the moon. All right. And then for shuttle, we're gonna blast off like we're rockets, because the shuttle missions were about getting people and supplies to the space station, or working on like the International Space Station, or like maybe satellites and things like that, also retrieving things from space and bringing them up. So if you think about a shuttle takes things and people from one place to another, right? And so we're gonna blast off like a rocket, like we're bringing stuff up to you, okay? So let's do it all together. Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, shuttle, like that. Okay. Indefinite pronouns, continuing the same song. Nobody, none, one, other, several, some, somebody, someone, such. All right, so to do it all together again, we're gonna say all, another, any, anybody, anyone, anything, both, each, either. Everybody, everyone, everything, few, many, more, most, neither. Nobody, none, one, other, several, some, somebody, someone, such. Indefinite pronouns, now we're all done. All right, timeline, age of exploration. So we'll do age of exploration, and then Prince Henry found School of Navigation. So he was in Portugal, and he taught people how to navigate, and one of the things he did was using obviously the stars, which people have done for centuries, but what we're going to do to symbolize this is we're going to hold a compass and we're going to look up to the stars and like point to the stars like we're navigating, okay? So we're going to say Prince Henry found School of Navigation, and then for slave trade in Africa we're going to cross our arms like this, and we're going to say slave trade in Africa, Gutenberg's printing press. So the way that this operated is you had basically a piece of paper and a huge tablet that would come on and print on the piece of paper. But it would print like multiple pages at a time. And so then that paper would have to be cut up and then put in order and then bound into a book, basically. But the way it worked is this big like press came down and made like an imprint, like a stamp on the paper, and then lift it up, okay? So we're gonna say Gutenberg's printing press. And then the Songhai in Africa, they were located just under the Sahara Desert. It was a very arid, hot climate. They traded a lot of gold. They were very wealthy. And they did live right off of a river, so they had water, and that's where the city was actually built around this river right under the Sahara. But it was very hot there, but they were like an essential, really big, important trade route in Africa. So, but to remember all of that, we're gonna go like this, like it's hot and we're in the desert. So we're gonna say Songhai in Africa. Tsar Ivan the Great of Russia. All right, so for this one, he rebuilt the Kremlin, which has these obelisk spires on it, and Russia is known for it. So we're gonna make the obelisk spire, okay? So Tsar Ivan the Great of Russia, the Spanish Inquisition. So the Spanish Inquisition was all about, after the Muslims left Spain, because the Muslims had, I'm trying to remember the area of Spain that they had taken over. But after that happened, the Spanish were like fanatically trying to find anyone that wasn't a Christian and get them out of the country and interrogate them. And it was terrible, really. It lasted a long time. And it was basically like a social cleansing of the community. Not a bright spot in history at all, but it was a reaction to being taken over by Muslims at one point. But we're gonna go like this, like we are questioning you and you better be in line, okay? So the Spanish Inquisition. All right, history, tell me about the revolution, the Industrial Revolution. Okay, so we're gonna act out each of these people's inventions, okay? So for Watt's steam engine, we're gonna go like this, like we're a steam engine. We're gonna say, Watt's steam engine, okay. What, buddy? Then get out if you don't want to be in there. I'm doing, okay. All right, and then for Cartwright's power loom, when people had looms in the past, they were manual looms, and it basically took a line of fabric that was in line like this, all parallel, and another line of fabric, and it intertwined them. But they did this, it was a manual process. They had a bar that they pushed, and this bar, they pulled, and this bar would push all these strings down into the other threads, okay? So the loom itself was a great invention, but then the power loom came over, and this was electrical, so it required no input, and it could do it a lot faster, okay? But when you think of Cartwright's power loom, I want you to think of fabric making, right? And it really revolutionized how quickly fabrics could be made, right? And when you think of fabric, you think of the weaving of two things together, okay? So we're gonna say Cartwright's power loom, and we're gonna kind of intertwine our fingers. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can even just put them behind if you want. It kind of makes that pattern, right? Okay, and Whitney's cotton gin. Okay, so this was also really important. So separating the seeds from cotton was very arduous, would take a long time, and this was basically like a series of rollers that the cotton would go through that basically separated the cotton from the seeds, and so when the cotton came out the bottom, there were no more seeds in it. But it was a manual thing, so they had to like manually go like this, and then they were putting the cotton in it, and then it went through all these rollers that kind of mashed it and pricked it apart, and then the seeds went in one area and the cotton went in the other. So what we're gonna do is for Whitney's cotton gin, we're gonna go like this. We're gonna drop things in, and we're gonna turn our wheels like this, or our gears, okay? And we're gonna drop cotton in. And then we're gonna say, spurred the Industrial Revolution. And this is the hand motions that I've always done for the Industrial Revolution, because it's like building and like engineering and all of that. So that began, and then we're gonna write 1760. That began in the 1760s. And then at the very end, it does like the train sound. So we're gonna go choo choo, just like it does in the song. Okay, so Watt's steam engine, Cartwright's power loom, and Whitney's cotton gin spurred the Industrial Revolution that began in the 1760s. Watt's steam engine, Cartwright's power loom, and Whitney's cotton gin spurred the Industrial Revolution that began in the 1760s. Choo choo! Titus, get out now, please. You need to get out now. Okay, and then for Northern European countries, geography. we're gonna it's not really like a story, but it's a way to remember all these, okay? So what we're gonna say is way up north is Norway by the North Sea. And it stretches way up north. See how it stretches all the way up there? Then we're gonna say Sweden is squeezed in between Norway and Finland. And Finland is the most inland, because it's the most inland. And then, see this mark? That's Denmark. So, there's a mark, Denmark. So this little comma looking thing is part of Denmark. Some people were saying if you turn it this way and you kind of trace it, it looks like a question mark with that little dot right there. So you could think of that as a mark too, but that's just a way to remember it. So we're gonna say way up north is Norway. Squeezed in is Sweden. Most inland is Finland. And then, and I say den instead of then there's Denmark. Okay? All right, thanks guys.